text message, she's telling him, make sure that you don't shoot me. And if you don't shoot her, you are a bleeping. It's like she was almost daring her son to take someone else's life. Who does that?
Keith is Brooklyn's ex and the father of their 22-month-old daughter, Casey. Roxana says Sheila got Brooklyn the job working for a third-party contractor performing inventory at Home Depot. Roxana says Sheila drove Brooklyn to work and knew exactly what was going to happen to her on Friday.
That is the most sickest thing that you could think of. It was sick and sadistic to me. Like she said, what kind of human can come to a place where your son is accused of taking someone else's child's life, and then to find out that you had a hand in orchestrating it? You gave him the time. You gave him the address. You gave him instructions on basically how to take someone else's child's life. That is the lowest of the low.
This is the story of Brooklyn Sims, a young woman whose life was tragically cut short by violence. Brooklyn was a vibrant young woman with dreams and aspirations. She was a dedicated worker and a loving mother to her 2-year-old daughter, Casey. However, her life would take a tragic turn. On a fateful Friday afternoon, Brooklyn's life was abruptly taken away from her while she was at work. Brooklyn's connection to her killer was not that of a stranger, but rather someone she knew, 20-year-old Keith Eric A.G. As the investigation proceeds, shockingly, A.G.'s mother, Sheila A.G., has also been arrested and charged with being an accomplice to the murder. His mother, Sheila A.G., has also been arrested and charged with being an accomplice to the murder, with text messages revealing a disturbing plot that would shock the nation and all of those who knew and loved Brooklyn. How could a grandmother take the life of the mother of her grandchild? And takes us to Pensacola, Florida, a city known for its coastal beauty and vibrant community. In this idyllic setting, tragedy struck that would forever change the lives of those involved. At the center of this story is 18-year-old Brooklyn Sims, a bright light in the lives of those who knew her. Brooklyn was employed as a contract inventory worker at the Home Depot on Davis Highway. She was committed to her job, and those who knew her described her as a bright light in the workplace. But Brooklyn wasn't just a worker, she was a loving mother to her 2-year-old daughter, Casey. Brooklyn's devotion to her daughter was unwavering, and her dreams were intertwined with providing a better life for her child. Brooklyn's personality was a beacon of positivity. With a contagious smile and laughter that could light up a room, she made a lasting impact on the people around her. Her vibrant spirit was a source of joy and inspiration, making her a cherished presence in both her workplace and her personal life. Brooklyn was previously in a relationship with a 20-year-old man by the name of Keith Eric A.G. Brooklyn and Keith had known each other for a significant period of time, sharing a connection that extended beyond their professional lives. Their romantic involvement spanned a considerable duration, indicating a familiarity that should have bred trust and security. However, as details have come to light, it has been revealed that their relationship was plagued by dark and troubling aspects. Keith A.G.'s behavior within the relationship was marked by episodes of abuse. Reports indicate that Keith became physically violent with Brooklyn while she was pregnant with their daughter, Casey, who is now 2 years old. The first instance of Keith's violence was particularly severe, leading Brooklyn to seek a protective order against him. Brooklyn had not seen Keith since their daughter was 2 months old, but their history of violence persisted. An incident emerged where Keith's anger manifested in the destruction of property, including windows and a television. This pattern of aggressive behavior was further reinforced by accounts from other women who had encountered Keith A.G. Multiple protection from abuse orders had been filed against him earlier in the year, describing similar menacing and threatening behavior towards women. Keith A.G.'s abusive tendencies cast a dark shadow over their relationship, leaving Brooklyn in a vulnerable and dangerous position. However, the tragedy that struck next was Brooklyn's worst nightmare that came alive. On a seemingly ordinary Friday afternoon, the bustling aisles of the Escambia County Home Depot in Pensacola, Florida, became the backdrop for a chilling and tragic crime that sent shockwaves through the community. The victim of this heart-wrenching incident was Brooklyn Sims. Her dreams and aspirations were abruptly cut short. Tragically, the store that had been her place of employment and camaraderie would transform into a crime scene that would forever alter the lives of those who knew her. On that fateful day, around 1:30 p.m., chaos and terror erupted as law enforcement received a distress call reporting an active shooter within the Home Depot. Responding with urgency, officers arrived at a scene of pandemonium where the lifeless body of Brooklyn Sims lay, a stark contrast to the vitality and joy she had brought to the store. Witnesses described the shocking scene as Keith A.G., the father of Brooklyn's daughter, walked down aisle 52 of the Home Depot on Davis Highway and exchanged words with Brooklyn before opening fire, ending her life in a hail of bullets.
I came back from a lunch break. I went behind the counter to go pick up my trusty iPad I use for surveying. And I was talking to a coworker and I heard pop, 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 like 5 or 6 rounds go off. And I realized it was a gun and I told him, I said, duck and cover. And I went right up underneath the counter, back behind the main counter, and I was sat there Indian style, and I called 911. I spoke with the nice lady. She told me to stay on the line. I gave her all the information I could, told her where the shooting occurred. I didn't see it. I just heard it, and I realized it was an active shooter. And then I was talking to her, giving her the exact location of where we were, telling her about aisle 3 and the entrance, and then I heard someone was hurt, and I said, also, please send paramedics, and I stayed with her on the line until the police arrived and told us to evacuate.
As the investigation unfolded, an even darker layer emerged, revealing a series of chilling text messages exchanged between Keith A.G. and his mother, Sheila A.G. These messages exposed a sinister plan hatched between the mother and son, implicating them in the heinous crime. In their conversation, one text from Sheila A.G. to Keith read, "If you don't come kill her, you expletive." These messages, released by the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, portrayed a disturbing level of coordination and cold-blooded intent. Days later, the unthinkable took another twist as Sheila A.G., Keith's mother and Brooklyn's co-worker, attended a memorial for the young victim before being arrested herself. The irony of her presence at the memorial, mourning the loss of a life she played a role in taking, added insult to an already tragic situation. Soon after, Sheila A.G. was arrested and slapped with a charge of principal to first-degree murder, as authorities deemed her involvement significant enough to warrant legal consequences.
Tonight with a bombshell revelation in the Home Depot shooting that killed an 18-year-old woman Friday. The suspect's mother, Sheila A.G., is now facing charges of principal to first-degree murder.
She was arrested last night shortly after attending a celebration of life for the teenager she is now accused of helping murder. That victim was Brooklyn Sims, and the suspected shooter is Sheila's son, Keith.
The Escambia County Sheriff's Office released text messages between Sheila and Keith. In them, we learned Sheila drove Sims to work that day, and she offers to tell her son where Sims was working. She also appears to egg him on.
The apparent plan was to get Sims in Sheila's car, then when she exits the car, Keith would follow and shoot her. Instead, it seems Keith simply drove to the Home Depot and opened fire there.
Now, it's not clear where Sheila was at the time of the shooting, but it seems she was at the Home Depot there.
Escambia County, Florida Sheriff Chip Simmons says she was seen outside the store after the shooting. Today, we asked him how this case compares to others he's seen.
And I don't know that I'm aware of one that kind of took this particular type of a turn. It's just shocking, and it's sad. Obviously, when you read the text, you see that, is there a way that you could have stopped this? Could you have said, I'm not telling you where we are, or don't do this type of thing? But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Tonight, we are also hearing from the victim's family.
They are devastated and say they don't understand why Brooklyn was murdered.
I was numb on Friday, and today I have mixed emotions. I'm angry. I'm hurt.
Roxana Roberson is Brooklyn Sims' cousin. She says the more they learn about the circumstances surrounding Brooklyn's murder, the more outraged they become, especially after reading the text exchange between the accused shooter, Keith A.G., and his mother, Sheila A.G.
And if you look at the text message, she's telling him, make sure that you don't shoot me. And if you don't shoot her, you are a bleeping. It's like she was almost daring her son to take someone else's life. Who does that?
Keith is Brooklyn's ex and the father of their 22-month-old daughter, Casey. Roxana says Sheila got Brooklyn the job working for a third-party contractor performing inventory at Home Depot. Roxana says Sheila drove Brooklyn to work and knew exactly what was going to happen to her on Friday.
That is the most sickest thing that you could think of. It was sick and sadistic to me. Like she said, what kind of human can come to a place where your son is accused of taking someone else's child's life, and then to find out that you had a hand in orchestrating it? You gave him the time. You gave him the address. You gave him instructions on basically how to take someone else's child's life. That is the lowest of the low.
Roxana says Brooklyn hadn't seen Keith since Casey was 2 months old, and Sheila handled all communication and visitation with Casey. Brooklyn's sister tells NBC 15 News she FaceTimed with Brooklyn and Sheila while they were on a work break 2 hours before the shooting. She says everyone was laughing and talking about their weekend plans of taking Casey to the splash pad. Plans the young mother never got to enjoy with her baby girl.
When I think about it, I just think about excellent mother. You know, to be so young and to be such a great mother is just amazing.
Legal proceedings commenced, and a courtroom became the stage for the clash of arguments and emotions. Sheila A.G.'s attorney contended that the incriminating text messages had been misconstrued, pleading for a bond of $250,000. However, the judge's decision to deny bond underscored the gravity of the allegations and the potential implications of the chilling messages. Sheila A.G. was also ordered to maintain no contact with witnesses, victims, or their grieving families. As the details unraveled, it emerged that Sheila A.G. had played a pivotal role in orchestrating the tragic event through her text communications with her son, Keith A.G. The exchanges indicated a degree of involvement and complicity that defied comprehension. Keith A.G., the alleged shooter, faced charges of first-degree premeditated murder and aggravated battery. The charges carried the weight of ending the life of the mother of his young daughter, all within the confines of the Home Depot. He surrendered to the Pensacola Police Department shortly after the shooting and remained in custody with no bond. The ongoing court case brought to light how tangled human relationships can be, showing us that families can be complicated and seeking justice for terrible crimes isn't easy. The messages that were made public told a chilling story of how someone's words and plans can lead to something truly awful happening. As the trial continued, we got a closer look at how the legal system works. The fact that no bond was given and the trial was approaching reminded everyone just how serious the charges were and how important it was to get justice for Brooklyn Sims and her grieving family. The loss of Brooklyn Sims was a tragedy that never should have happened. In hindsight, there were signs of trouble in the relationship between Brooklyn and Keith A.G. Their history of domestic violence charges and the turmoil they experienced should have raised alarms. If there had been more awareness and intervention, perhaps this tragedy could have been prevented. It's a reminder that recognizing and addressing early signs of abusive behavior is crucial in preventing such catastrophic outcomes. Brooklyn's family and loved ones have been deeply affected by this shocking incident. Losing a young mother and daughter in such a violent manner is an unimaginable burden to bear. The trauma and grief they now have to endure will likely leave lasting scars. Not only have they lost someone they cared about deeply, but the circumstances surrounding her death have left them questioning how this could have happened. The release of the text messages only adds to the pain, revealing the manipulation and intent behind the crime. My condolences to her friends and family. May they continue to heal and one day find peace. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.